When a Telegram account gets restricted, most people make it permanent within the first hour. They panic, they retry the thing that got them flagged, they spam the support form with angry messages, and they turn a temporary limit into a dead account. The restriction itself is often recoverable. The reaction usually isn't. So let me walk you through doing this calmly and correctly so you actually get the account back instead of finishing it off. I run managed Telegram hosting on dedicated hardware here in Singapore. Real handsets on real carrier SIMs and handling restrictions without panic is part of the daily job. One thing up front, this is about responsible recovery. Not false appeals, not lying to support, not trying to abuse your way back in. The path that works is honest, patient, and boring, and it works far more often than the desperate one. First, diagnose, because there are 3 different restriction types and they need completely different responses. Then the wrong moves, the things people do that make a recoverable situation unrecoverable. Then the calm recovery path for each type. Then the support form done right, because it's your only real channel and most people use it terribly. And finally, when to accept it's gone and walk away cleanly. Start with diagnosis, because everything depends on which restriction you actually have. The first and most common is a soft limit. The account works normally, except you can't message people outside your contacts. You can read, reply in groups, talk to existing contacts. This is the system being cautious, usually because your outbound volume to strangers got too high too fast. It's the most recoverable type by far. The second is a feature or scope restriction. You might lose the ability to join new groups, create channels, or send media, while the rest works. The third is a full ban. The account won't log in at all, or you get the message saying it's been banned. This is the system being certain, and it's the hardest to reverse. You tell them apart by what still works. If you can use the app but can't reach strangers, soft limit. If specific features are blocked, scope restriction. If you can't get in at all, ban. Getting this right matters because the response for a soft limit, which is mostly patience, would be a waste of time for a ban, and the response for a ban, which is a formal appeal, would be overkill and counterproductive for a soft limit. Now the wrong moves, because avoiding these is half the battle. The single worst thing is to keep doing the restricted action to test it. Restricted from messaging strangers, every attempt to message a stranger is another mark against you and can extend or harden the limit. Stop testing. The second wrong move is rapid-fire support tickets. People submit the same complaint 5 times in an hour, which just buries their own case and reads as exactly the impatient behavior that flags accounts. The third is changing everything at once in a panic. New device, new IP, new app, all at the same moment, which makes the account look even more like it's being passed around. The fourth is lying in your appeal, claiming you did nothing when the logs say otherwise. Support sees the activity. A dishonest appeal kills your credibility. Here's the calm recovery path for a soft limit, which is what you usually face. Do nothing aggressive for 72 hours. Stop all outbound to non-contacts completely. Keep using the account normally for everything else, reading, replying where you already participate, talking to contacts. The point is to show the system the suspicious behavior has stopped while the account stays genuinely active. In the majority of cases, a soft limit lifts on its own within a few days to a week once that pattern is clear. No appeal needed. Patience is the entire treatment, and impatience is the only thing that breaks it. For a scope restriction, same principle, but identify what specifically got blocked and stop doing the thing that likely triggered it. Join too many groups too fast and lost the ability to join more? Stop joining entirely for a few days. These often lift on the same timeline as soft limits once the triggering behavior stops. For a full ban, the calm path is different because waiting won't help. A ban requires a formal appeal, and this is where the support form done right matters. There are 2 routes. Inside the app, where it still lets you, there's often a way to contact support about a limitation directly, and that's the fastest. Otherwise, Telegram has a support email and the recover account flow. Here's how to use it well. Be brief, be specific, and be honest. State your number, state what happened, state plainly what you were doing, and acknowledge if you pushed too hard, and ask for a review. Do not send a wall of text, do not send it 10 times, do not lie. Send it once, clearly, and wait. Responses run anywhere from 5 to 14 days in normal conditions, sometimes longer. Sending follow-ups before then only hurts you. Let me give you a realistic timeline for a soft limit recovery, so you know what normal looks like and don't panic midway. Day 0, you hit the limit and stop all outbound to strangers immediately. Days 1 through 3, you keep the account active in every other way, reading and replying where you already belong, but you touch nothing that involves messaging a non-contact. Most soft limits that are going to lift on their own do so somewhere in this window. Day 4 through 7, if it's still there, keep waiting and keep behaving, because some take the full week. If you reach day 7 or 8 with no change, that's your signal to send a single honest support message, and then keep waiting through the support response window. The mistake people make is compressing this. They give it a day, decide it's not working, and start doing aggressive things that reset the clock or harden the limit. Recovery is measured in days to weeks, not hours. Treat the first week as the system simply observing whether you've genuinely stopped, because that's exactly what it's doing. While you're waiting, there's productive work you can do that actually helps rather than hurts. Audit what you were doing before the limit and write down the likely trigger honestly, the volume, the repetition, the speed, whatever it was. That serves two purposes. It tells you what to change so you don't trip it again, and if you do end up filing an appeal, it lets you write an honest, specific account of what happened, which reads far better to support than a vague denial. An appeal that says, I was reaching out to too many new people too quickly, and I understand the limit, I've stopped, please review, is more credible than one that claims total innocence. Support can see the activity, matching the record with honesty builds trust. Contradicting it destroys it. Now the part people don't want to hear, when to walk away. Some restrictions don't come back, and recognizing those saves you weeks of wasted effort. If the account was registered on a number with a prior spam history, or on an IP range that's flagged at the infrastructure level, a single appeal rarely overturns a ban, because the problem isn't your behavior, it's the foundation the account was built on. If you've appealed once, honestly, and waited the full window with no result, repeating the appeal usually won't change the outcome. At that point, the responsible move is to accept it, learn what triggered it, and start fresh on a clean foundation. A real number on a clean, stable IP with the warming and the limits done right from day one. Chasing a dead account costs you more than starting over. Let me cover the things people try that simply don't work so you don't waste time on them. Deleting and reinstalling the app does nothing for a restriction because the limit lives on the account, not the app. Switching to a different device doesn't lift a limit either, and doing it abruptly can make you look worse. Logging out and back in accomplishes nothing except possibly drawing attention. Creating a brand new account and immediately messaging all the same people from it just spreads the problem to the new account and can get it limited too, because you've recreated the exact behavior that caused the first one. And paying some service that promises to instantly unban you is in nearly every case either a scam or a way to get your credentials stolen. There is no secret buttons. The only things that work are patience for soft limits and an honest appeal for bans. Anything promising a shortcut is selling you something that doesn't exist. There's also a smarter way to think about a banned account you've decided to abandon, which is to extract what you still can before you walk away, if you still have any access. If the account isn't fully locked, export your contacts, note your important group and channel memberships, and record anything you need to rebuild. That way, starting fresh on a clean foundation isn't starting from zero, it's starting with your relationships and structure intact, just on a healthy new account. The loss of a banned account hurts far less when you've preserved the things that actually had value, the connections and the communities, and only lost the specific number that went bad. Plan the graceful exit while you still have a door open, not after it closes. That last point is the whole lesson, really. Most restrictions trace back to infrastructure or to behavior, and the infrastructure ones are the ones you can't appeal your way out of. If your account died because the number was dirty or the IP was flagged, no amount of careful recovery fixes that, because the cause is underneath the account, not in it. The accounts that recover cleanly are the ones built on a clean foundation in the first place, where restriction is genuinely just the system being briefly cautious about behavior you can correct. Telegram Vault is managed Telegram hosting on dedicated Singapore hardware, real handsets on real carrier SIMs from Singtel, M1, StarHub, and Vivify, with a clean, stable, non-rotating mobile IP. When an account here hits a restriction, the session logs tell us whether the trigger was behavior or infrastructure, so recovery isn't guesswork. And because the foundation is clean to begin with, the infrastructure level bans that can't be appealed simply don't happen to you. You run the account, and the base it's built on is solid. If you want that, start at telegramvault.org. Onboarding begins with a real conversation about your setup, not a checkout page, and the code TGYT gets you a discount when you start. The mindset that gets accounts back is the opposite of the one most people bring. The instinct under restriction is to do something, anything, right now, because doing nothing feels like giving up. But with Telegram restrictions, doing the right nothing is usually the cure. Stop the triggering behavior, keep the account genuinely alive in every harmless way, and let the system watch you behave for a few days. Action is what got you limited. Restraint is what gets you back. The people who lose recoverable accounts are almost always the ones who couldn't sit still and wait, and the people who recover them are the ones who treated the limit as a signal to slow down rather than a problem to attack. If this kept you from finishing off a recoverable account, subscribe because the next video compares managed Telegram hosting against self-hosting on your own hardware, the real costs and trade-offs on both sides. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.